Ladies and gentlemen, I grew up in a poor family. I remember talking with my mamaw during very cold winter nights about how low could we turn the heater and still be able to live comfortably in our house that night.
It's the commonest trope in politics. The candidate sentimentalizes his tough upbringing and remembers how mom and pop had to work 2 or 3 jobs to keep food on the table. It's a winning message every time.
Let's go back to young YG, young Gav.
There's probably an inverse relationship between the actual deprivation politicians experience in their youth and the prominence they give that subject in their speeches and interviews.
My mom was 19, pregnant, and divorced a few years later with 2 kids, came from no money, and just hustled, worked hard, grinding every single day, 2.5 jobs, no bullshit, literally 2.5 jobs.
People who grew up in real poverty mostly don't boast about it. But it's a sign of health that American politicians still regard hard work and fortitude as worthwhile. What irritates is that some of these same leaders portray today's Americans, whose standard of living far exceeds that of their parents and grandparents, as overworked, underpaid, and incapacitated by perverse economic conditions. The contradiction goes unnoticed. A ferocious work ethic was a virtue among our elders. Today, it's evidence of systemic injustice.
The Vice President of the United States, Mr. J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance has spun a political career out of this incongruity. The book that brought him fame, Hillbilly Elegy of 2016, was a paean to his hardworking and resourceful grandmother, whom he frequently refers to in speeches.
I remember my dear mamaw, that's what I called her, and I was in a particularly hard math class in high school, and she said, "What do you need to do well in this class?" My grades weren't so good, and she went out, even though she could not afford even the essentials in life, she went out and got me a calculator, a very expensive calculator, so that I could do well in this math class.
Today, the Vice President supports expanding almost any redistributionist economic program said to benefit the working class. That Mr. Vance grew up in a solidly middle-class home rather than in the state of near destitution he likes to portray is apparent to any careful reader of his book. Mamaw's late husband had a lucrative pension. Her poverty was emotional, if not financial. Mamaw could afford the essentials of life. But, and here's the key point, she worked hard and went without for the sake of her grandson. If Mr. Vance's stated policy aims are any guide, he thinks she shouldn't have had to.
Governor Gavin Newsom.
Which brings us back to the California governor.
Thank you.
Another politician inclined to praise the lady who raised him, not least in his new memoir, Young Man in a Hurry.
She was, when I say 3 jobs, literally 3 jobs, there's about 7 of them I describe in here. Working part-time as a bookkeeper, working at Ramona's restaurant as a waitress. That's how I got in the restaurant business. Working as a part-time real estate agent, working as a paralegal, working at iMagnons just to do some sales on the side. She just hustled, grit, hard work.
She did this, the author explains, because the author's father, her ex-husband, had a habit of not coming through with help.
It was also about paying the bills, man. And it was just like hustling. And so I was out there kind of raising myself.
Mr. Newsom's pretense is easier to see through than Mr. Vance's. The Californian's father, William Newsom, served as the personal attorney of oil magnate J. Paul Getty, at that time one of the wealthiest men in the world. In fact, Gavin and his sister Hillary traveled all over the world with this famously affluent family. On vacations, Mr. Newsom reveals, they socialized with Arthur Miller, Luciano Pavarotti, Jack Nicholson, and King Carlos and Queen Sofia of Spain. In his youth, Mr. Newsom tells us, he moved between San Francisco's worlds of rich and poor and hardly thought it remarkable. Count me skeptical on the poor part, whatever his mother's employment history.
Dude, that is the most embarrassing ever. Rich-ass Gavin Newsom acting like 8 Mile is his life story.
Young Man in a Hurry comes ahead of a presumed run for the presidency. But let's assume Newsom's mother really did have to juggle all those jobs. He has devoted his entire political career to ensuring that Californians should never have to do that again. He's expanded state-funded childcare, promoted a mandate for 6 months of paid family leave, and supported a guaranteed income program. He may never have thought about the contradiction. Political ambition so often crowds out thought.